Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another episode of Arts and Culture. My name is Brother Yam Muhammad. I'm here from Muhammad's Mosque number 1 here in Detroit. And tonight I want to present a piece that we've all heard before, but we may not know the origin of. And we grew up singing it in nursery school or daycare, and it's been passed on from generation to generation. I just wanted to have a little discussion about that. So first I'm going to play the piece, and then we're going to have a little discussion about it and look into the origin of it and how it affects us on a daily basis. So thank you. So I think you recognize that, as most of us do here in the United States and most English speaking countries, as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But the origin of it begins in France in the 1700s, and it comes from a, the melody comes from a pastoral song or folk song that originated in the 1740s. And so, if I can just read to you a little bit, it is a popular children's song in France. And over the time, it is said to have many different lyrics associated to it. But as I said, the melody is said to begin in 1740. Okay? So that being the case, what are the nursery rhyme lyrics that are usually used in France? The original work piece is called Vous, Dirai, Maman, c'est que cause mon tourment. So what does that mean? Oh, shall I tell you something, mother? A little different from Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. But the words is vous dirai, maman, ce qui cause mon tourment. Papa vu que je raisonne comme une grande personne. So, oh, shall I tell you, mother, what is tormenting me? Daddy wants me to reason like a grown-up. Moi, je dis que les bonbons. Me, I say that sweets valent mieux que la raison, are worth more than reasoning. So, here you have a little girl who is trying to tell her mother what is tormenting her. Her father tells her, we want you to reason this out and come into an understanding of what's going on with yourself. But she says, sweets are worth more than reasoning. Sweets are better than reasoning. And so why should I reason when I should just go with my passion? That is the children's version. Now, the original poem to this comes from a poem called La Confidence Naïve, or The Naive Confidence. And those words are a little different than the nursery rhyme. In French is vous direz-je, maman, ce qui cause mon tourment. Oh, mother, what causes me to hurt, to torment? Depuis que j'ai vu Sylvandre, since I saw Sylvandre, me regarder d'un air tendre. He looked at me tenderly. Mon cœur dit à chaque instant, My heart says every moment, at that instant, peut-on vivre sans amant? Can one live without a lover? Mm. L'autre jour dans un bosquet, the other day in the grove, on des fleurs il fit un bouquet. He made me a bouquet of flowers. Il en paramount aux lettres. He adorned my crook on my head with it. Il en para ma houlette, telling me disant, belle brunette, oh beautiful brunette, Flo est moins belle que toi. Flowers are less beautiful than you. L'amour moins esprit que moi. Love less enamored than me. Let's continue on. So now in this Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, we have this person named Sylvandre who speaks romantic words to her and causes her heart to move, to beat fast. He makes a bouquet of flowers and places it on her head and tells her that she is more beautiful than the flowers that adorns her. Wow. And love can be no less than her. He goes on to say, en temps fait pour jamais. Being made to charm, il faut plaire, en faut amer. You must please, you must love. C'est en printemps dans son âge, in the springtime of one's age, l'on s'engage si vous non, qu'il est dit que l'on s'engage. That is said, one should commit. Si vous tardez plus longtemps, on regarde ces moments. If you tarry any longer, one forgets these moments. So live, what they're saying is, in this song, is that in your youth, you should enjoy all the pleasures of the flesh. This is what this song is the origin of the song is carrying with it. And it is encouraging the frivolity and the debauchery and Hellenistic ideas in order and to engage in things that is other than righteous. And so it goes on further and further and further where she falls in love and then falls into his arms and then she has to tell her mother eventually, I fell into his arms and taste the sweetness when love takes care of her heart. So, I'll leave it at that. So this is something that we teach our children, this song, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are. So what is this that we wondering what we are? This key, so the key that the song is written in is in the key of C. And the way I came across this investigation is by way of playing classical music. I think it was in the late 1700s, like 1781, 1782, there was a composer by the name of Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart who did 12 variations on this particular piece called Vous, Dirai, Maman. I want to tell you something, mother. But he did 12 variations of it. And it became quite popular. It was a very popular piece. Now, as I said, the key is written in the key of C. And those who study holistic healing and I guess you could, it's what some people call metaphysics or the Asian ways of healing. Know that each key, each note has a very particular vibration that's associated with it, has a very particular color or spectrum of light that is associated with it. And so this key of C is a key that is equivalent to that lower vibration. The color that it would be associated would be the color red. And so it is kind of appropriate that this particular piece that Mozart did 12 variations on, which we usually call Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, is written in that key because the original words deal with a situation that deals with our low desires. So it is really emphasizing a vibration or a consciousness of low desires. Now, you may say, Brother Jan, yes, that may be true, but the words are just a children's song. I want to read something by Mother Tynetta, if I may. I'm going to pull it up on my phone, other phone that I have. Mashallah, inshallah, I'll be able to find it. But in it, she talks about, in the Final Call newspaper, Mother Tynetta wrote an article. And the article is called, in the Final Call, and it can be found online, English Lesson Number C1, The True Bedtime Story, Understanding English Nursery Rhymes and Fairy Tales. Now, we are taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that we should not be reading our children nursery rhymes or fairy tales at bedtime. Why? Because there's a certain mind that goes with it. Let us take, for example, the one that goes, Baba Black Sheep. Not that. Mary had a little lamb. You're familiar with that one, right? It goes, let me see if I can play it. Let's see. So, if you look at the words, it goes, Mary had a little lamb. A little lamb, a little lamb. Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Mary went, Mary went. Everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. So in just the beginning, it sounds very innocent, right? But let's continue on into what the nursery rhyme speaks about. He followed her to school one day. He followed her to school one day, which was against the rules. So now we have Mary and her little lamb walking to school. She wasn't supposed to take the lamb with her to the school. And because it was what? It was against the rules. And eventually, if you go further into the story, the lamb came into the classroom, caused chaos. This white lamb came into the classroom, caused chaos, and that the teacher had to shoo him out. That means throw the lamb out because he was causing hell and chaos within the class, disturbing the peace that was there. So Mary's little lamb appeared to be innocent, but it was mischievous in the long run. And so when we sing this song, we may not really pay attention to the words, but what it is doing, anytime we memorize something, it writes itself in a portion of our brain. To this day, it's there and you could still remember it. Why? Because it wrote itself into our brain. And so into our consciousness. And so now we can recall that Mary had a little lamb and twinkle, twinkle, little star from the time that we learned it up until the now. And so it is because of this writing and storing everything in our brain. Every experience that we have is stored in our brain, in our mind, and that we can always access it and recall it. If sometimes we need help, but it is there. And it's constantly running, and is running like a program in our mind. Sometimes it's like a subroutine in a computer. That means a subroutine is a program in the computer that runs constantly in the background, but influences the main program. It's like the subconscious. It's there, you don't notice it. It takes care of what it needs to take care of, and you go operating throughout your day. You don't have to think about it. So these nursery rhymes form the beginning and form a base of living in a world that is contrary to what Allah has destined for us, a world of righteousness. So yes, it does appear to be innocent, but these are things we should not really be writing in the brains and reinforcing in the brains of our children, because it creates a pattern, a way of thinking that is contrary to their nature. So Mother Tainetta is repeating the words of Master Fard Muhammad, the great teacher, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that we should not be reading nursery rhymes and nursery tales, fairy tales to our children. Have you looked at the movie Shrek lately? Parts 1, 2, and 3. Have you really noticed what's in the movie? We allow our children to watch it and think it's a cartoon and it's entertainment for them. But there are things of great adult content that is writing. When we allow our children to sit and watch that, it writes certain behaviors in our children's brains and gives them license to behave in a certain way. So Mother Tainetta states in the article, so let us remember that English lesson number C1 is to be read to our children as bedtime stories, separating the truth from falsehood in everything we see or do. So the purpose of reading English lesson number C1 or any other teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad as given to him by a great master, Master Fard Muhammad, our Savior, is to have our children to be able to separate the truth from the falsehood that they will engage in every day. Now, it's important that we do this at bedtime, because as we're sleeping, the brain begins to work on the mind begins to work on problems that it has encountered that day. And it starts to formulate solutions to those problems, so that when we wake up and encounter those problems again, we already have the solution. We've already resolved the problem. And so if we put truth in our minds and allow our brain to work on with the truth on the problem, then when we wake up, we walk into the solution. Praise be to Allah. And we receive the answers to the questions that we had before we went to sleep. So Mother Tainetta Muhammad states is repeating the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So let us remember that English lesson number C1 is to be read to our children as bedtime stories, separating the truth from falsehood in everything we see or do. So the question is raised, she says, can we fool a Muslim? The answer is not nowadays. In paragraph 8 of the original 13 paragraphs given to the students to study by Master W. Fard Muhammad, we are giving the following words concerning English lesson number C1 and how it should be applied to our daily lives. Mother Tainetta continues on by saying, spelling must be used by all Muslim girls and mothers to their children for bedtime study, also in regular courses. Muslims must get away from reading that devil's bedtime story to their children. We must separate ourselves and not read the devil's bedtime stories to our children. Things like Rapunzel, which speaks about a girl who goes against the wishes of her father and goes and steals and winds up in a prison. And eventually, if we read the original story, the original text of the story, when the prince allows the prince to climb up her hair, and visit her while the matriarch or the matron is away. And eventually, in the long run of the story, she becomes pregnant by this prince who goes wandering the world looking for her and finds her destitute, and eventually, and they meet up. And so he becomes blind. They have two children, and now she's destitute. They have no money. He has no wealth. Everything is gone because she decided to go and steal. Or you have Little Red Riding Hood, who goes through the forest by herself against everyone's wishes, goes off the path, meets a man who's fashioned as a wolf, right? And winds up in the clutches of this wolfish type of man and almost destroys the entire family. Little Red Riding Hood, Snow White, and there's so many more. So many more that emphasize a culture and a way of life that is not our own. And so I'm encouraging us to not have our children to engage in these nursery rhymes, okay, these fairy tales, without looking into the origin of it. So you would say, Brother Jan, what can we do? Well, I have nothing else to teach them. Yes, you do. And it's within you. All you have to do is sit down and use that beautiful mind that you have, that creative spirit that you have, and write something new. Write something that is appropriate, that you will want your children to learn. Oftentimes, and too many times, we give our children over to and put our children in the hands of others who may not have the same agenda that we do, the same intent and the same path or direction that we want to send our children on. We must take charge of our children. We must take charge of our homes. We must take charge of our community and stop relying on others to do for us what we can do for ourselves. And so that being said, hopefully you've learned something new. You've obtained something more from what we shared today. And I am going to ask you to go look and do some research of your own about that nursery rhyme or that little song called Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, or as we found out, its real name I'll get it right here so I can say it properly. Ah, vous dirai-je, maman, ce qui cause mon tourmente. Oh, shall I tell you, mommy, what is tormenting me? So may Allah continue to bless you and keep you in the best of health, the best of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. And may Allah bless all of us to continue to be able to do His will. And so I greet you in the nation greeting words of peace and paradise of Assalamu alaikum. And may you have a beautiful, beautiful and blessed day.